We are here at the last episode of 2021, and it's episode number 72 on the Air Hug Community Podcast. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Air Hug Community Podcast. And being that it's at the end of the year, I'm thinking maybe you're done with all those cookies and all that good cheer, and maybe you're thinking, let's get healthy. I know around here we're always thinking, let's get healthy and stay healthy, but I also know that the beginning of the year is time to turn over a new leaf. And with that, today we're bringing on a very special fitness expert, and we're going to have a little bit of a different conversation on an approach to training and an approach to talking about training and resources for what you see online, I guess is a good way to do it. So sit back and relax. And if this is your first time here, welcome to the Air Hug Community Podcast. This is a place where we talk about pretty much everything that has to do with living a better life.
Let's do it.
I'm so excited. I'm really excited to have you here. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Air Hug Community Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, and I am so excited. And I want to, first of all, thank this person because we tried to do this last week and the Zoom gremlins got to us. But this person has been in the fitness industry for over 17 years, written 11 books, created a certification, hosted over 20 million web visits, and get this, published 1,000 articles from 800 different coaches. And yet you still hire a trainer, right? I'm quoting you directly.
I absolutely do.
Yeah. Welcome, John Goodman. And go ahead, answer that question first.
Yeah, for sure. I still hire a trainer. I mean, there's so much, every single trainer that I've ever hired throughout the years I've learned from. My trainer right now, his name is Brian Cron. And he's taught me a new set and rep loading scheme. So, I'm 36 years old. I'm not old, but I'm old enough that if I tried to lift weights like I did when I was 21, I find that my body hurts. But I want to still work out. I want to still lift weights the same way as I always did. And so he's introduced new ways to basically manage volume with me. There's this loading scheme that I've never done before called muscle rounds, basically, where instead of doing, let's say, 4 sets of 8 reps, right? Pretty basic, 4 sets of 6 to 8 reps or 8 to 10 reps or whatever you want to do. What this is it's 6 sets of 4 reps with 10 seconds in between for 1 round.
Oh, okay.
And so the total volume is actually about the same if you think about it. So if you're going to do 3 sets of 8 reps, your total volume is 24 reps, right? If you're going to do 6 sets of 4 reps, it's the same total volume. You're doing 24 reps, but the intensity is quite a bit higher and the total amount of weight that you have to use is quite a bit lower, meaning that it's generally a bit easier on the joints.
Which is always a nice thing.
There's just like cool little stuff like that you just learn. And so throughout the years, I've just hired trainers wherever I've lived. I've hired trainers from all different types of disciplines, and everything's just expanded my physicality, which is super cool.
I think that is really cool. And I love that there's always something to be learned, right? From wherever, and we can never stop searching it out. The reason I wanted you on today is because your conversations on Instagram lately have been really juicy. And I love that you're calling out people who are throwing up things on Instagram like, let's work out with a roll of paper towels or whatever. And I get it that people have been creative during COVID, but the basics are the basics. And so I'd love for you to speak to that.
Sure. The basics are the basics. The basics have always been the basics. And it's not just during COVID. I mean, what gets attention, not just fitness wise, what gets attention are sensational things, are spectacular things, are innovative things. Well, the body hasn't fundamentally changed meaningfully in thousands of years. nothing's new. We know how the body works. We know, I mean, this is, if you're trying to get somebody on stage or on a podium or competing on the highest level, like totally different ballgame, right? You're trying to get somebody to win. Most people, we just got to get them to move a little bit better, a little bit more often. Even just putting on more muscle. I mean, the best ways to put on muscle, and like anybody who you see on Instagram doing all these newfangled variations of exercises and stuff like that, they all got into the shape that they're in the exact same way, which is the fundamental movements repeated, progressing them over time. And I think it's important to not forget that. And also to the general public who's looking at this stuff thinking, okay, well, it's totally cool to like play around with fun stuff in the gym. Awesome. Like that's fun. But just know that that's not how you get into good shape. That's how you celebrate being in good shape. And so I
love that difference. I love that difference. It's not how you get into good shape. It's how you celebrate it.
Yeah. And it's huge. It's such an important distinction, being able to look at the two and saying, okay, I get that this is what is interesting to watch on a video in a split second on Instagram. Doesn't mean that it's actually the best thing for me to do to get into shape.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to differentiate between the two if you're not like in it all the time, like we are, right?
Exactly. Exactly. In fact, this is so funny because I had a client come to me and I'm not going to say her name, but she's had this onset of like this chronic ache.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally asked her, I said, can you pinpoint this down to anything, or do you think it's overuse? And she said, can I just tell you something? I was on YouTube and I saw this older lady do this crazy move. And she thought, well, if the older lady can do it, I can do it.
Right.
And it didn't work out well.
Right.
So speaking to that point,
and she was in pain because it's, I mean, ridiculously fancy, like new stuff where you're jumping and twisting and moving and manipulating your body through space in a way that you haven't done in maybe 20 years. There's probably some sort of progression. Like, you're not going to do a single leg squat with a twist on a Bosu ball before you know how to sit down on a chair. I mean, it seems obvious, but I don't know. The internet seems to perhaps tell us otherwise.
Yeah. And you know what? I think the other thing people don't realize is how many takes do you think it took before they put that up? They probably didn't put up their first try of that.
There's that too. Yeah, there's that too. There's definitely that too. I mean, what is real and what's not real? And I mean, even how people look. There's this big joke. I put something out. This is actually years ago. This is before kind of the internet. This was about fitness magazines, because I've been in online fitness for 10 years. And so, before social media took off and became what it was today, like I started a blog and I didn't know what the word blog meant. That was how long ago this was. And I used to always say this line. I'm like, you realize that the girl on the cover of the fitness magazine doesn't even look like the girl on the cover of the fitness magazine.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of those people.
Yeah.
Like they don't look like that. There's this shirt that I want to make, and I want to take it to fitness conferences and just hand it out to everybody that just says, wow, you sure don't look like you do on Instagram, and just hand it out to people all over the place. Because it's like, I mean, we show our best sides on the internet, right? Like it's all digital flexing. It's so interesting how this is evolving, that the things we own digitally, our status digitally, people see way more than they see what we actually have in real life these days. And so this desire, as we're all kind of figuring out how we want to showcase ourselves online, it's met with a lot of awkwardness.
Yeah.
And I think that we'll figure it out, but it's taking some time.
People are getting smarter, I do think, but I also think that it creates a lot of anxiety and insecurity. And well, if so-and-so is doing this, why can't I? So I'd like to take a step back and talk to the fact that great workouts are boring.
Okay. What do you want to know about it?
Yeah, I like that philosophy, because people are like, as trainers, I think sometimes we're called on to be entertainers. I
Mm,
mean, we're entertainers, we are listeners, and I'm okay with that, but not every workout has to be entertaining. We have to hit the basics every time.
right. I guess my belief on it is that um, different people are different. Different clients like different things. I think there's a place for. I mean, look, Bailey's boot camp and whatever the spin one is that basically have like turned exercise, group exercise into the club.
Mhm.
There's lights, there's music bumping, there's everything. It's like, that's totally cool. That's for the right type of person. And if that gets more people moving, hell yeah, all the power to it. It also gets a lot of people hurt,
Mhm.
but if it gets people moving, great. I think that really what needs to happen is trainers need to get much better at communicating why they're doing what they're doing. And that to me is the biggest problem. It's not so much that it's boring workouts. I mean, we say that almost as a joke. It's
Mhm.
almost like a celebration, like
I
a
love
rally
that.
cry.
Okay,
Like,
and
we love
that's a perfect
boring.
segue. Yeah, that's a perfect segue into a cute little conversation you had about the black dress exercise. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's stirring your brain about explaining. Oh, my connection is unstable. Well, let's hope we keep our connection here. Say a little prayer. You were talking about explaining an exercise to a
Right.
client, and I'll let you pick it up from there if you want.
Yeah. Why does it matter to the client? Why does anything matter to the client? And how do you get a client to buy into what they're doing as something for them based off of what they want to achieve? That's the main crux of it. And so it's this idea of, I mean, the black dress is a good example. It's a real example from one of my clients many years back, where she came in, and the conversation that trainers have with clients is always interesting, because clients often will come in and they'll say what they feel like they should say because they're in a gym and they feel like they should act like you should in a gym, which means I'd like to tone up. I'd like to lose 5 pounds. I want to run a 5K, whatever it is. They say these things that they don't even really know what they mean a lot of the time, because they're kind of meaningless, superficial goals. And the trainer's job is to figure out the deeper why behind those goals. So she came in, I don't even remember what it was. I want to lose 5 pounds or lose a little bit of weight. I was like, okay, cool. You know what? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And I kept going down this line of inquiry. Oh, cool. Like, so is there anything else you want to tell me about that? Okay, well, how would that make you feel? Oh, do you remember a time when you felt that way? Oh, I do. And then she, of course, goes on this whole story. Yeah, I mean, and she was like shy, right? She's like, oh, it's so stupid, like downplaying herself. Oh, it's so stupid. I was like, no, tell me. Oh, years back, I was on this cruise with my husband, and I was, and I remember I put on this black dress, and I still have this black dress, and he couldn't keep his hands off of me. Right. And we almost, and she kind of like giggled. She's like, we almost didn't get out of the room, but we eventually made it out of the room. And then, I had this feeling like every woman there wanted to be me, and every man wanted to be with me. And, I just remember that black dress. I was like, that's it, man. Like, black dress, right? Like, that's your trigger. That is why you're here. You want to fit into that black dress, right? It's not 5 pounds. It's none of that.
Mhm.
And so then my job as a trainer is to connect what you really need to what you really want. And so my job as a trainer is to say, okay, well, who cares about workout one, day one, fat loss circuit? It's like, nah, this is black dress workout day one. And then when I'm describing the exercise, it's the same type of thing. It's okay. We're going to do this. It was goblet squats. So we're going to do goblet squats because it's going to work big muscles in your legs, which is going to work, when you work the big muscles in your legs, basically there's something called EPOC, excess post-oxygen delay consumption, where your body's going to use a lot more calories after the fact and burn a lot of fat after the fact if you work a lot of big muscles, right? This is the difference between cardio for fat loss and weight training for fat loss. And so the goblet squats are great because they work all the big muscles. It's going to increase this EPOC, and it's going to help you fit into the black dress. Cool. That woman is now, her name is Andrea. Andrea is now going to do goblet squats and she's going to do squats in her kitchen in between workouts. Right? Like it's that extent. So as a trainer, I think what's just really important is our competitive advantage is we get to be able to make the experience more personal to the client.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah. And it's kind of funny, like we have had workouts that we'll call like, okay, we want like those tank top arms, right?
Sure.
Same kind
Oh,
of
there's a
thing.
lot of funny. I can give you some crude examples.
Go ahead.
Man, how crude do you want me to get? There's
Hey.
I could give you some good ones. There's there's like there was one that I ran years back that was 4 weeks to t-shirt time. Basically, like as the summer was approaching for guys, it was like, hey, you're going to be wearing t-shirts soon. Right. There was another one. I didn't run this one. This is like pure British humor. I don't think you could do this in North America, but it was, I don't remember the exact word that they said, but it was something like, it was like, see your dick in 8 weeks or something. And it was for guys who had a big stomach. And it was for getting rid of the stomach. There's like lots of funny things. I mean, that wasn't me. Like I said, that's only something that would fly in the UK. That's just their type of humor. Like you got to be in like Liverpool for something like that to work. But
oh God. Or maybe Mexico. No.
maybe Mexico. Yeah, I don't know how you'd say it in Mexico. But there's lots of examples like that. I mean, the black dress has kind of become something now that's become, your little black dress workout or whatever it is. It's something that's become bigger. But it could be anything, really. I mean, for guys, a lot of it is around t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, if you want to wear a t-shirt, but could be anything. Could be anything, and you could use the seasons too. And so it's just a matter of connecting it to some sort of an emotional why and understanding that the trainer's job is not to necessarily like get somebody to love the gym on day one, because that's probably not going to happen. I mean, we do. So it's hard because we just want to go. Like, I just love to train. I don't need a goal. I don't need a transformation or whatever it is. But most people exercising kind of do. They kind of need some sort of a goal line that they can get to. And then once you hit that goal, we all know what happens with goal setting. The minute that you hit the goal, you set a new goal in the future.
You have to, right.
But selling a transformation, you don't sell a client on 5 sessions. You sell a client on who they'll become as a result of training with you. And the more that you can connect that with their deeper why, the better. And the more committed they're going to do, the easier time you're going to have selling your program and selling your services, but also like the more committed that they're going to be.
And in the end, they're going to be the ones who are happy, and they're going to be the ones who are sending you the best clients.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think so.
Absolutely.
I think the curated social media things that we see it's difficult, and how do you feel? Like, first of all, I'm very pro age. All right. And I'm older than any trainer. I'm older than any trainer I know. I actually can come out and say that.
I got called ageist the other day. What does that mean?
I don't really know.
I don't like people who are older. I don't really understand what that means. People call me all sorts of things. And I'm like, you read one post by me one time that had to fit on a little Twitter thing. How are you making sweeping assumptions about who I am as a human being? But so what does ageist mean? Do you know?
I have no idea. I think I should look it up while we're talking. But I don't know if it's a positive term or a negative term. Are you... I think
they used it as negative. I think.
Yeah, I don't know. But
okay.
The one thing I'm talking about is I want to get to talking about trainers posing with almost no clothes on in order to sell their business.
Right.
And I get that you want to see that your trainer is fit, but like, I don't feel like I have to take my clothes off to prove that I'm a good trainer. And I don't think that people want to see me like that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I think to each their own. Where I get, I've made a personal decision that I am not going to publicize over sexualized fitness. Mm-hmm. That's just my personal decision. And so our entire creative team, and I'm working with a new video team, and they sent me concepts of an image that's, I'm going to be starting to do a lot of like super high quality reels on my Instagram. And so you'll start seeing those coming if you're following me, but the feature image for it, well, it needs to grab attention. And so this new video team sent me a couple concepts, and one of them had just an over sexualized image. And it's like, I think that this image would probably perform better, but I just said to them straight up, I'm like, just know across the board, I am never okay with just posting it. It's just something that I've decided, right? That I just don't want to be a part of my platform. That said, I don't have anything against people who do, as long as you've made a decision that this is how you want to represent yourself. What I do get frustrated with is people coming into the industry, usually women, not always women, but usually women, people coming into the industry thinking that the only way to succeed in it is to post a really sexualized image of themselves.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's absolutely not the case. I mean, there's tons of examples of incredible women who they're just fantastic coaches. I mean, they're just a fantastic coach. Doesn't matter if they're a woman or a man or whatever, like they're just a fantastic coach.
Yeah. And they know how to get their people fired up and get them right. Excited. Yeah.
Is there something wrong with it? I mean, even if there is, ain't nothing, you or I could do about it. Like it's not going anywhere. So I think it's just a matter of just better education amongst particularly young women coming into the industry, but also men. I mean, men also, I know a lot of business mentorships that basically say to guys, hey, if you want to do well in this business, the best thing you can do right now is to get shredded and take pictures and post with your shirt off. Have you ever seen a picture of me with my shirt off on the internet?
I have never, and I've been following you probably all of your 10 years online.
I did it once in 2013, because I have a series of rules for a living. And one of my rules is get shredded, take pictures, and never do it again. Because I just don't think getting shredded is something that, like, once somebody does it, they're like, yeah, this isn't for me. I'd like to actually live an enjoyable life. And so I just did it once because I wanted to know what it was like. I felt like, as somebody who works in fitness, I need to do as many things in fitness as I could do to be able to understand where people are coming from. So I did the dieting, I did the water manipulation, and I did the photo shoot. The same as I did CrossFit for 3 months, the same as I did TACFit for 3 months, the same as I trained as a boxing guy, the same as I trained as an endurance guy, the same as I trained as a barbell guy. Like, I've done this all with different coaches throughout the years to be able to understand them. But I just, my platform isn't based on sexualization of my image. So I think it's just important to promote that there are other ways to do it in the industry and provide the support to people that they need. And a lot of this comes down to our education bodies and just how bad of a job that they do preparing people for the industry.
Oh, it's a broken industry for sure. There's not even, one governing body, like I think of, for example, in healthcare, I was a registered respiratory therapist back in the day, and which is now their license, but I got out of it. And like nurses are licensed. It blows my mind that as trainers, we don't have to be licensed. Yeah, there's certifications, but there's so many different ones.
Well, and the certifications are all for-profit companies, largely owned in every major case but one. They're owned by private equity or venture capital, meaning that they're just out there to make money. Straight up. They're a private company that's out there to make money with no oversight, no regulation. And so nothing against them. They're doing whatever they do to make as much money as possible. That's their business. But unfortunately, the people who come out of them are just straight up not qualified to work in the industry. And so they fall prey to a lot of the get rich quick schemes. They fall prey to doing a lot of the over sexualized imagery stuff because that's what they see others doing, and they haven't been trained properly enough to figure out that maybe there are other paths. And so sometimes they encounter good mentors, and whatnot if they're lucky, and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, it's very much you can get lost in it. You know, I mean, I've been in fitness for 12 years, in healthcare for over 30 years. And you can really get lost, even like, you know, trying to do continuing education. What I found, like with some of the continuing ed, some of them were like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And some were like, not so helpful. And I don't know, maybe that's just personal opinion, but I do always try to continue learning, you know, whether I'm getting certified or not, as to how can I serve my clients better? You know, what can we, and right now, so my niche, and just for your benefit to know, is midlife women. And so I just spent this past weekend at a workshop on how to train pain-free.
Cool.
We spent 8 hours on the warm-up on the first day of the certification.
Yeah, you did the John Russins thing.
Yes. I'm getting ready to take the exam. I'm not ready yet, but it's like, oh my gosh. In that case, I felt like with every page that I turn and the further on we went, I'm like, the more I'm learning here, the more I'm like, I don't know, you know, and that's just an honest thing. I think there's just so much about the body that we don't know. And I think we have to be careful who we use as a source, you know, to learn from.
I agree.
But yeah, I don't, this kind of went off in a little bit of a different direction. But that's okay, because you never know where conversations are going to take us. Really. I love, you had a little kindergarten quote. Where is it? I have your Instagram page up in front of me.
Yeah.
I love it. 5 things you should have learned in kindergarten that will make you healthier.
It's so fun to me looking at stuff like that. It's like, what do they teach you in kindergarten? It's like, put your stuff away.
Yeah.
Right.
Eat your veggies. Be nice.
Eat your veggies, you know, put your weights away, like be nice to other people. Yeah, there's not that much more to it, is there?
No, there really
isn't. Go for walks, take a nap when you need it.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like the never skip gym class. That was
cute.
Like just don't skip gym class. Just like, you know, doesn't mean you have to pump weights, but like go to gym class.
Go to gym class.
Yeah.
That just brought back the funniest memories, which I just have to share. When my oldest son was in elementary school, they had to do square dancing in gym class. And he decided he was not going to hold a girl's hand. So he skipped gym class. Okay. And they found him hiding in the bathroom.
Amazing.
And I was like, okay, Nick, he's probably going to die that he doesn't even listen to my podcast. My kids don't listen. But anyways, I thought that was so funny.
I
totally
don't
unrelated.
ever expect my kids to ever listen or pay attention to anything that I'm doing. So that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, they have their own life.
Yes, they do. And really, honestly, and they're not. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of which, you have talked a lot about your dedication to your family and how you work your workouts in, and how I admire your routine. And it's really not unlike the routine that I've had for the past 30 plus years as an adult. And so I just want to commend you. If you want to share it, you can.
Thank you. I mean, it's just a matter of what is, to me, it's what's a priority. I feel like there's so much pressure to win, to achieve, to make as much money as possible, to build as big of a business as possible. And I guess I just continually question why. And you know, try to keep it in some sort of a balance as much as I can. You know, there are times when it'll be unbalanced. Like right now, I'm probably imbalanced a little bit. And I feel like I'm being pulled in too many directions, you know, but.
And I'm hoping that's temporary and you'll pull back.
It's temporary. Well, I mean, the reality, to be honest, is because I'm doing so many of these podcasts, which it's funny because I enjoy doing them so much, but like I'm doing 18 podcasts this week. Good and Lord. So, you know, it's just, it's a lot when you're running a business and everything else. And so I feel a little bit out of control. You know, today there's 5 podcasts, for example. And so it's like in between that, there's half an hour here, an hour here in my work day where I'm trying to run my company,
Mhm.
for example. And so, I'm feeling a little bit out of control, but yeah, it's temporary, of course. I'm enjoying this, but I do have to go because I do have another podcast.
All right.
So I apologize.
Well, I want to say just thank you so much for taking the time to be on the Airhug community. And I just admire your perspective. I have pretty much all of your books. You are a phenomenal example in the fitness industry, and it's an honor to have you on. And I just want to say thank you and keep it up and take some time off this month, will you?
Well, thank you very much. Great chatting, Judy.
Thank
Talk
you
soon.
so much. Take care. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. John is so refreshing. He's such a regular guy that totally gets online fitness. And so I actually have looked to him for several years, actually, since he started his company. And so I think we're really lucky to have had him on to chat. And I just love his no nonsense approach. He's actually really very humble. He really has built quite a big following, and for good reason. He does stick to the solid basics, and he's very entertaining besides. But listen, I would like to thank you for popping in today and listening, and whatever it is you're doing in the fitness world. I do agree, hire a trainer, make sure they know what they're doing, make sure they know what your goals are, and together be safe, be happy, and be strong. And do me a favor, I ask this every time. Tune in every Tuesday for a new episode here on the AirHug community. And please go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review, because you know what? That's the best way for us to get the word out about this podcast. And I'm just so excited to be able to talk to you and grateful to have you come and listen and lend an ear. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I'll thank you ahead of time for that review. All right, ta-ta for now. And let me be the first to say happy 2022 to you and your loved ones.